Bye. Have a great day. Whatever the fuck I want it for.
Hey, boy, what was the score last night? I feel little. Yeah.
Who won?
They tried to.
All right, hush. All right, here's Danny on voice on a minute. 2 minutes. What you doing?
Had a 3 day for that. 3 days.
So grab this curtain, pull it over.
I think it's just over there now.
Right, grab your seat. Come on. Grab your seat. Come on. We ain't got all day for that. Can't take you old timers nowhere. Let's turn this big book to page 24.
Yeah.
2-4. Now, page 24, there's going to be 2 indicators that the writer of this book really wanted you to pay attention. The first is the word fact. The second is the fact that they used italicized writing. How many people in here have borrowed money from somebody before? How many people have came back and borrowed money a second time? Which was easier? First time. Second time, you better be coming with a good-ass reason. But it says the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost power of choice in drink. Now, in order to lose something, that implies that at one point, I had it. At one point, I had the ability to decide on a daily basis whether or not I'd get loaded. Think about it. The first lie this treatment center told you, or any treatment you've ever been to told you, is they asked you, what is your drug of choice? To ask somebody what their drug of choice is implies that they have power over it, not them having, not the drug having power over them. What's your name again, man? Cliff. What you like to use, Cliff? Meth. You ever been on the way to get you some meth and you had a little thought in the back of your head, Cliff, that said, bro, this is a fucking horrible idea? Did it stop you? There you go. What's your name? What you been using, Deanna? Ever been on the way to get some meth? Had a little voice in the back of your head that said, Deanna, this is a horrible fucking idea. Did it stop you? What does that tell me, Deanna? You got power over it or it has power over you? Well, you got to think about that. I got enough common sense. I got enough rationale to know I'm about to do something that has not worked for me and is not going to work for me. Might give me some temporary relief, but ultimately, if I'm looking at it with any common sense whatsoever, the cons outweigh the pros. Inevitably, though, each time I make the most insane act of my life, not loaded, fucking sober. What do you think an alcoholic's more sane, loaded or sober? What do you think? You say loaded? What do you think? Fucking loaded. You catch me loaded, I have way more sense than whenever I'm sober. I remember one time I am in the passenger seat of a buddy of mine's vehicle, and we are riding, and I am I just can't seem to keep my eyes open. And I smell weed coming from the car next to me. And I look over, and this guy got a fucking small ass joint about the size of my pinky. Looked over and said, fucking pussy. I don't dare waste my time. Because in that moment, I'm loaded, but I have more common sense in this moment than I've ever had in my life. I knew weed for me just don't get it done. If it ain't got the strongest of dope, it ain't gonna cut it. Now sober, about 3 months later, coming fresh out of a treatment center, now my mind's saying, we never tried the marijuana maintenance program. It could be Cheech, Chong, Corey. I think that should have worked out. Now, if I'm, how many of y'all be out there getting loaded? Somebody will hop in your car and you hear, fuck you got? Some gabapentin. Get the fuck out of my car. How many of y'all sober though? Somebody comes around with some shit, and you're like, fuck, only takes 48 of them to get a buzz. I'll try them. Think about it. I want you to tell me real quick how much sense this makes. Because loaded, I have more sense about me than sober. Why do you think it is I'll start trying to consider things sober that I wouldn't consider loaded? When the dope works for me, you will find me in a place where I'm very content. Which means I have a little bit of comfort in my own skin. The second I get sober, the second the dope quits working for me, I get very discontent. And I'm doing whatever I can to change the way I feel. That is why no matter how many times I swear off getting loaded, the longer I stay sober, the more that feeling that comes with the first one starts to come back into the forefront of my mind. Now, looking at these two terms, middle of the mind, obsession being a thought that overrules all other thoughts. Don't matter how much common sense you have, doesn't matter how important something is to you. Whenever I've been sober, whenever I've been uncomfortable in my own skin for long enough, I will begin to fantasize about how good that initial feeling is. I won't think about the consequences. I won't think about the treatment centers I've been to, jails, institutions, any of that shit. All my mind will allow me to see in that moment is a feeling. Because you got this obsession from a feeling that was registered in your mind as success. That is what a human being's mind is designed to do, register success. If all we did was register our pain, we'd have all offed ourselves a long time ago. What's your name, man? Jason. What's your favorite thing, Jason? Heroin. When's the first time, Jason, you ever put a substance into your system and it really worked for you? You knew you had something. Yeah. About 12? What was it? What we talking? Some dark shit, some clear shit, a beer? Beer? Where were you at? You was at home? Who were you with? Huh? You can name all of them? What day of the week was it? Think about it. Jason, don't play with me, bro. Think about it. For a second. Come on. But, entertain me, bro. Was it a weekend? I'm willing to bet if you think about it, you can remember. All right, Jason, tell me about the first good steak you ever ate. You always find a difficult motherfucker that's trying to tell you he can remember his first good steak. What? Well, thank you. But what I'm saying is, if I go around this room right here, we got years and years and years of brain damage as a result of putting as much dope in our systems as we can possibly put in our system. But I promise you, majority of this room will be able to tell me the first time they got loaded, who they were with, what it was, where they were at. And they're going to have such a vivid picture painted in their mind, they'll start sweating on me if you let them. Because that's what our mind registers, a success, an experience. Alcoholism is an experiential process. If I wanted to know how the dope was in Baton Rouge right now, I'm not going to our addictionologist, I'm going to Jason. No offense to Jason, but he got something our addictionologist does not have. They have knowledge, he has experience. That experience is what puts us in a position to not only register success with that first one, and also puts us in a position to begin a pattern of seeking a feeling, right? The problem is whenever I'm sober, my mind can't see past that initial feeling. Because if it did, what it would also see, psychosis, damn tweakers. It's relevant though. What's the longest you ever stayed up on meth? 4 days? Fucking rookie numbers. You got to bump those up.
21 days.
All right, now we're just having a junkie show and tell. Yeah, be cool. 2 whole weeks. All right. Anybody says over 7 days one more time, I'm gonna PC you. Hush up. That was fun. That's how you get a tweaker to shut up. PC. Oh shit. But what I'm saying is, was that how long you intended to stay up? You intended to stay up that long. We are not the facility for you. Give me your shoelaces. I got a jacket for you right outside that door. I'm serious. Serious, because how many of y'all absolutely 100% did not intend to stay up that long, but that sure as fuck was a result? Now, I'm not a tweaker. I say that even though I've stayed up my fair share of more days than I planned. But when I was out there getting loaded, I would get loaded or I'd do meth once a month. It just happened to be for like a 7-day stretch. But every month, I would randomly have some meth come upon me, and I would say, I think it'll be different this time. We're just going to do a little bit this time. Not going to go overboard. Just a little to go with the opiates will be great. Not going to do any more. I'm going to get the fuck away from it after this first little bit. What do y'all think would happen? Be up for 7 days, fucking grinding my teeth, doing tweaker shit. But after that 7 days, I cannot tell you how miserable I am for 7 straight days. And I know I'm crazy, and I know my mind is abnormal, because I believe when normal people put a substance into their system and it doesn't make them feel well, they don't try to put more of that substance into their system, hoping they balance out. How many of y'all have ever done that before? God, I feel like shit right now. Some more might fix it. But every time after that 7 days, think about it, the 7 days would start, I put a little meth into my system. Second, I put the first one into my system. We are officially doing meth, son of a bitch. Why? My body would take over. I would begin to experience this thing they refer to as a phenomenon of craving. That craving would put me in a position to go on a well-known spree, usually staying up way longer than I intended. I am not a tweaker. I like to sleep over here. But that spree, no matter how many consequences it brought on, it would keep me off of meth for about the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But inevitably, as soon as that pain faded far out of my mind would start saying, it's going to be different this time. I'd start thinking about that first one again. But you got to understand the verbiage of this paragraph right here. This paragraph is going to break down the obsession. It says the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. Like we said, in order to lose something, you got to first have it. It says our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. How many of y'all think about it, an alcoholic? Think as a whole, we got pretty strong willpower or pretty weak willpower? What you think? Huh? Eric, what you think? Your willpower. When you want something, you get it? What happens when somebody tries to get in your way? What you're telling me about you right now is you got pretty damn strong willpower. Why the fuck can't you stay sober then? Because what we're looking at is a roadblock. This obsession prevents proper functioning of my God-given willpower. If it didn't, you wouldn't need to be here staring at my big-headed ass. You would wake up one morning and you would say, I'm done, I quit, I'm never doing it again. You ever said that before? And you would have actually stuck to it. But with this obsession, what it prevents is proper functioning of the willpower. The problem with it is usually the people with the strongest willpower are the people who have the biggest problems. Because how many are so cocky about every other area of your life? You thought this was going to be something you were going to beat as well when you felt like it or when you wanted to. Then the time came that you actually wanted to, and it still had you by the yang-yangs. Now, back to this paragraph. It says, we're unable at certain times, I don't say all the time, Rolling, wake up. I ain't fucking nap time. Damn tweakers. Nap on cue, on the hour, every hour. Rolling, you gonna make it? You good? All right, wake up, brother. It says we are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness. Hush. Hey, quit talking. Bring it into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. Now, that term right there, sufficient force. Sufficient force means when that thought comes in of that pain of that last spree, it actually stops me from doing it again. Now, eventually, like we said, that pain does fade. And this pain is usually one of the only things that'll give someone relief from this obsession to dump the first one in. But once it fades, then I begin to fancy and think about how it'll be different this time, how I'm going to manage different this time, so on and so forth. Now, the drugs. Drugs are not the problem. Alcohol is not the problem. How our bodies react to it is, in fact, what is the problem. You know, I've been surrounded by people who use and are able to control how much they use. You know, I was 17 years old. 17 years old, I tore up my wrist playing baseball. Most people would think that was bad news. That was the best news I ever had. Because this drug test I was waiting to have to take was getting in the way of me getting fucked up. I ain't going to worry about that no more. So we went to a party that night and went to a party. It was me and one of my partners. I called my guy up. I'm like, hey, you got some pills? He said, nah, I ain't got no pills. I got something better. You're going to love it. I said, well, what is it? He said, some white girl. I said, I love white girl. Bring it on. I don't know what the fuck that is. But white women, bring them on. So he brings, as you could probably guess at this point, if you've ever listened to a Young Jeezy song, bag of cocaine. He lines out a line for both of us. Grab my partner, we go hit us a line. He hits a line. He said, man, that shit was great. I'm going to go party. I hit a line. I said, man, that shit was great. I'm going to go party. Tell me all you got. I lock myself up in the bathroom. Now, me and my partner both love cocaine. This was a big success. The difference was not whether or not we enjoyed it. The difference is the way our bodies responded to it. Because he hit a line, he immediately was able to enjoy that line. The feeling he had, the buzz he got, he was in the moment. He was present. I've never been able to enjoy any dope I was on. Seems like my mind is always thinking about the next line. Nevertheless, it's always the next. And so I locked myself up in the bathroom for the night. And as you could probably guess, according to my friends, they thought I was taking the longest shit ever recorded. Really, I was too paranoid to answer whenever they knocked. But next day I woke up and his mom's one of those, he had one of those weird ass families. You ever met a family that they tell each other everything? Yeah, it's creepy shit I've ever seen in my life. I don't know about y'all, me and my family, we got fucking secrets. It's true. So we're sitting at the dinner table the next morning and she's serving us breakfast that I want nothing to do with. And she's like, did y'all have a good time last night? He said, oh yeah, I tried cocaine. This motherfucker. She already thinks I'm a bad influence. Dude, what the fuck? Of course I'm getting the blame for this shit. She said, oh, you ever plan on doing it again? He said, oh yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try like next New Year's, do some more again. That New Year's, motherfucker, it's February. I got my phone under the table texting this guy asking how quick he could be here. Now, once again, we both loved it. The difference is not whether or not we enjoyed it. The difference is in body's response. He could do one, go about his business. I did one. I got a new career path. And that is a difference in reaction. And the reaction is based in looking at two terms, physical of the body, allergy being an abnormal reaction. Meaning normal people, he had a normal reaction. It was weird as hell to me. Whenever I asked him if he wanted to do some more again tonight, he was like, oh, no, I'm going to be cool, bro. The fuck? Me, Once that body takes a hold, now I'm gonna tell y'all this: whenever it comes to this obsession, how many are daily users? You get fucked up every day. I'll tell you this: you probably haven't experienced this in years, because this obsession can only be experienced stone cold sober when somebody's been fully detoxed over a period of good 3 to 5 days. Until you sweat it all out of your system, this ain't running the show. This is still running the show. Now, you can pass out, you can black out, but how many of y'all most days when you wake up the next morning, second you wake up, it's on? You're going to look at that. That's because, Nick, wake up. But you got to get that prejudice towards that word allergy outside of your mind. All it is nothing more, nothing less than an abnormal reaction. Most people, whenever you say allergy, they immediately start thinking about external reactions. This is pertaining to an internal reaction. How you know you have it is, can you do one without craving more? What's your name? Abby, what you using? So I show up at your house, Abby, with 1 Percocet. It's free. Can't get no more, though. You going to be more irritable sober before you take that Percocet or after, knowing you can't get any more? What does that tell me about you, Abby? Is that a normal or an abnormal reaction? Is that a normal or an abnormal reaction? That is an abnormal reaction. Normal people, they're able to take 1 pain pill and get a little sense of ease from it. If you ain't got enough to get me where I want to go, you better just not even waste your time. You're in the right spot, Abby. I don't know if you know that yet, but yeah, okay. Now, y'all keep looking at the bottom of page 24. 24. We go to 44. I'm just going to call it Hank Aaron. So, now, bottom of the page it says, when this sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies. Now, the sort of thinking it's referring to is this obsession. The alcoholic tendencies it's referred to is not that stinking thinking assignment your counselor gave you. It is this allergy. He has probably placed himself beyond human aid. What does that tell me, Jazz? Well, that also tells me simply going to meetings, simply being part of the fellowship ain't going to do it for me either. Because what you will find in the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous is nothing but a bunch of human resources. But if you expect more out of it than it's meant to offer, you're going to set yourself up for failure. This fellowship is designed for one thing only: support. Now, if somebody's really looking to change, what's going to bring that on is action. You cannot think your way into new thinking. Think about that. How many of y'all been trying to outthink a problem that centers in your own fucking mind? How's it work for you? Yeah, big facts. Now, it's about action. Action is what's going to provoke a new experience that will have the potential to replace an old experience, because the 12 steps are designed to do what? They're meant to not only put me in a position to tap into some power, but that power is what provokes and brings on change. Now, I want you to turn over a couple of pages to 26. It's going to give you a description of a spiritual awakening. What's your name, man? Purple shirt, right? What's your name? Chris. When I say spiritual awakening, you hear spiritual awakening or religious awakening? Does your mind want to hear religious? Yeah, same here. Every time I would check into a treatment center, somebody would refer to something spiritual, my mind immediately goes religious. I think you grandma trying to drag me to church on a Sunday. That ain't what this is. Spiritual means something personal to you. I really couldn't get down with the God concept early on in recovery. So the only higher power I could really develop an understanding of, but also not overthink, was a 5-letter word they call karma. What you put out is what you get back. How many of y'all been putting some shit out? How many of y'all been getting some shit back? Well, sneaking suspicion that maybe if you put a little different out there, you might get a little different in return. But right here in the middle of 27, 3 lines from the top of that middle full paragraph. Well, actually, we'll just read the whole paragraph so I don't lose y'all. Said, yes, replied the doctor, there is. Exceptions to cases such as yours have been occurring since early times. Here, there, once in a while, alcoholics have what are called vital spiritual experiences. To me, these occurrences are phenomena. This is going to give you the description for a spiritual experience right here. It says they appear to be in the nature of huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men. Think about it. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes. Attitudes is directly connected to your beliefs. What did you believe that dictated your actions each morning? What'd you go after each morning? Boom. You're telling me my belief is I need to fucking Coke. And so my actions were that of somebody who believed they needed some fucking Coke each morning. But at the same time, until I change the belief, until one set of beliefs gets pushed out and replaced with a new set of beliefs, my actions are going to remain the same. And so it takes that action to put myself in a position to provoke new beliefs. Ideas, emotions, and attitudes which were once the guiding forces of the lives of these men are suddenly cast to one side, and a completely new set of conceptions and motives begins to dominate them. In fact, I've been trying to produce some such emotional rearrangement within you, within individuals. The methods that I employed are successful. I want y'all to pay attention here. But I've never been successful with an alcoholic of your description. What was an alcoholic of his description? Not only hopeless, the last 2 types of alcoholics, there's a chronic and there's a terminal. One drinks to live, one drinks to die. What do you think the majority of this room is? Chronic. We are drinking to live. We are using to live. How many of y'all need it just to make it through your day? Boom. This is what makes somebody a chronic alcoholic. So he's telling me simple counseling. This is what the guy who gave us that description of a spiritual awakening, he was providing for one of the founders of this program, simple counseling. That simple counseling wasn't enough. He's saying, I've never been successful with an alcoholic of your description. But that counseling you're doing here is not an end-all be-all. Setting you up. Setting you up because when somebody goes through good counseling, it sets them up to really get the desired results out of the course of action. That is the action steps. Now, does an alcoholic need, let me drop the alcoholic word. Does somebody need the steps to stay sober? What you think? Yes or no? He says yes for him. What you think, my man? What you think? What you think? What you think? What you think? No? What you think? That's the best answer you could have gave. What you think? Yeah. Yes or no? What you think? What you think? What you think? I'd say no. I'd say no. I don't think you need them. How many of you have ever built a house before? You need power tools to build a house? You know, they're great to have, but you don't fucking need them. I tell you, I put you out there with 2 2x4s and beat them together for long enough, you're going to get something out of it eventually. Now, I'll tell you this, without power tools, you're probably not building the house I'd ever fucking stay in. But you're going to get something. Now, the say somebody needs or doesn't need the steps is like saying somebody needs or doesn't need power tools to build a house. I don't think you do. I'll agree with you. With some of y'all, you probably don't. But how much sense would it make? How much sense would it make if somebody were to come to you and say, man, I really love to build a house. I got some power tools. Nah, I don't think I'm going to go that route. That make any sense to y'all? Ain't no fucking sense to me neither. But a lot of times, if you're anything like me, if I'm looking back for how many good reasons I had for not wanting to use the steps, it was one of 2 things. Either I just wasn't trying to get sober, even at times whenever I was trying to convince myself I was, or it's just pride. I'm with y'all. I ain't never had AA on my list of things to do in my life. But this thing usually don't work for us unless we're aware that we're out of options. You still got a couple of tricks up your sleeve. It's kind of like getting in a fight. There's a big difference between getting your ass handed to you and just who won. Think about it. If you really get your ass whooped by somebody, you ever gonna want anything with them ever again? No, you ain't. Not if you already got it handed to you. I'm just fucking with y'all at this point. Look at that clock right there. Bathroom break, 2:40. Bathroom break, smoke break. Get those done, get back. Actually, fellas, y'all sit. Ladies, y'all can go. Hold on. Sit down. Sit down. Ladies, y'all go. Y'all go. Nope. Nope. I'll talk to you later. Go. Andale. Arriba. Fellas, you group in the back. I'm not going to talk over y'all. Y'all go with that? I'm not going to have anybody else come to me after education. Seems to happen every time. I'll let a couple of y'all cut up, slide, and let it slide. I have somebody say, bro, I couldn't fucking get the shit out of education. Talking the whole fucking time. Don't do that, bro. Y'all good with that? Ask me something?
Yeah.
Ask you right now.
Resentful, selfish, dishonest, afraid.
That's on what page? 18?
Yeah, you said there's 10 things. There's 10 things, like the nightly inventory.
All right, so it says we reviewed our conduct over the years. No, that ain't what it says. It says we constructively reviewed our day. It says were we resentful? One question. Were we selfish? Second question. Were we dishonest? Third question. Were we afraid? Fourth question. Do we owe an apology? Fifth. Have we kept something to ourselves or should we discuss with another person at once? 6, were we kind and loving towards all? 7, what could we have done better? 8, were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? 9, or were we thinking of what we could do for others and what we could package to the screen of life? 10. What? Where? I'm the one.
Chatty. Chatty in here. Aaron A.
Yo, son.
And Brandon F. They need y'all at the nurse's station. You on Brandon F?
I'm a paper chase.
Who else is coming?
All that fucking noise on this. Hey, I haven't said a word.
Somebody find Brandon F. You guys will go up there.
Donnie, if they give you the tennis, you're responsible once in your fucking life. What is that, 240? Take a light on that, nigga. Well,
Pop it to me.
you're
Hey,
a-
we board grades.
you're a authority. You want to take a bad of that.
They found them.
You don't take light on.
I don't know.
So, I just have to take that L, man. Look.
Oh, no, it ain't even nothing.
Keep going on. Wow. I escaped that motherfucker. Yeah, I shouldn't be considered mad. We got nothing in the house. Cups out of this shit. Get related.
Keep it dope, just like that. Holy shit.
Shut up, man. That's what's going on.
Why you didn't call me, dog?
Brandon out. Brandon out.
Holy shit. Point that one out. Like, Wrap myself up. So I need to go back to my bed.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Now y'all turn y'all big books to the back of the book over on page 2 or no, 5. Shit. Why is my brain not working today? 567. 567. Now, there's two things you're going to want to underline in this first line. First is spiritual experience. The second is spiritual awakening. You want to underline those separately. I'm going to begin to give you the description for each, and we'll get to those shortly. But it says the term spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book, which upon careful reading shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself among us in many different forms. Yet it is true that our first printing gave many readers the impression that these personality changes or religious experiences must be in the nature of sudden and spectacular upheavals. Now, if you get a pen, draw you a line from where it says spiritual experience down to where it says sudden, spectacular upheaval. That is I don't care. Grab your seat. That is giving you your description for a spiritual experience. Sudden, spectacular upheavals. Now, how many of y'all read Bill's story before? How many of y'all read it and said, damn, I gotta have me a spiritual experience? How many of y'all have also shot so much meth that if you see one more white light, it might croak over and kill you? Most of us don't want a spiritual experience. Now, whether you know it or not, most humans at some point in their life have had a spiritual experience. I think it was 2012. 2012, 2013, I was on probably the roughest spree I ever went on. I was about 160 pounds, and if you can't tell, I'm not built for 160. It's rough. So I called my mom. I didn't realize what day I was calling her, but I called her. I said, what you doing? She said, I'm getting ready for church. I said, no shit, it's Sunday? She said, it is. I said, bring me with you. Now, I've already told y'all about where I've been at mentally on regards to religion most of my life. So when I asked her to take me to church with her, she knew something's real fucking wrong. Now, she picks me up. She brings me a shirt, or a church-worthy shirt, I guess. And the preacher of her church is an individual I can't fucking stand. I can't stand this guy. I don't know what was in the Kool-Aid that morning, but I remember somewhere after his sermon going to the altar and crying like a baby. I really, really had an experience in that church. The only time I can ever remember something like that happen. And I felt something present with me. Now, we go outside. My mom takes 5 minutes too long talking to one of her friends. Guess what I'm doing? I'm stealing out of her purse. You was just guessing? You got a good guess. You're pretty fucked up, ain't you? You're in the right room. Now, I say that because as soon as God caught me, guess what also caught up to me? I don't call maybe, if that's what you're into. Self. Self's what caught me. And a spiritual awakening is the same, but it's also different. It says happy for everyone. This conclusion is erroneous. Erroneous simply means wrong or incorrect. It says in the first few chapters, the number of sudden revolutionary changes are described. Though it was not our intention to create such an impression, many alcoholics have nevertheless concluded that in order to recover, they must acquire an immediate and overwhelming God consciousness, followed at once by a vast change in feeling and outlook. Among our rapidly growing membership of thousands of alcoholics, such transformations, though frequent, are by no means the rule. Most of the experiences are what the psychologist William James calls the educational variety. I want you to highlight this because they develop slowly over a period of time. Quite often, friends of the newcomer are aware of the difference long before he is himself. If you start growing, you think that's going to put you in a position to get comfortable or uncomfortable? Uncomfortable. It's also going to require you to do some things that probably are pretty fucking uncomfortable as well. And the reason I say that is because if when somebody comes in here and they say, bro, Corey, I don't know about this 4-step, bro. You want me to tell somebody all my deep, dark secrets, all my resentments, all my fears, all my sex, and all my harms? I don't fucking know about that. I smile. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're in the right spot. That's when somebody says, man, I can't wait to do that shit, bro. I'm like, you got to watch it. Watch it. Watch it. We got the picture. When somebody tells me, y'all want me to do what? You want me to go make it correct amends to people I harmed? I don't know about that. I'm like, you're in the right room. The reason this shit works as good as it does is because 100% goes against all of my thinking. My thinking was not just given, like, my thinking is not mine. Your thinking is not yours. We all gained it over time. I don't know about y'all, but my family did not ever suggest, hey, you need to go ask for help. If you ever need help, you need to ask for help. No, I remember my dad at a real early age fucking died before asking for help. I don't know if that's what he wanted me to learn from him, but that sure as fuck got ingrained in my head. And so this idea of the way of handling things, looking at step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Then step 5 says admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. How many else family didn't tell you to talk to other people about what you're going through? They taught you to stuff that shit down and keep it moving. You got to think about that. There's a reason we're not excited about this shit. There's a reason we're in a position to need this shit. I told y'all about my friend's family earlier. They talk about everything. Fucking weirdos. Ain't a single one of them been to jail or rehab, though. There might be something there. I don't know. But these actions work the way they do because they go against our best thinking. This 4-step, making a decision, or discussing my resentments, fears, sex, harms, what this will set you up to do is the rest of the action steps which follow. And it goes against my will. Put me in a position, and I hate when people say, you're getting God's will. You ain't getting in God's will. You're aligning your will with God's will. And God's will ain't too fucking complicated. I know we try to make it complicated. How many of y'all had somebody try to teach you growing up to treat other people the way you wanted to be treated? How many of y'all had some people to say, and taught you when you make a mess, clean it up? Think about it. These principles ain't real complicated, difficult shit. It's real simple. Real simple. You know, there was a guy, right? He went to a yogi. He was going to, and he wanted to get light. It's like just any guy. Like right? His family got old money kind of guy. You know what I mean? Thinks real highly of himself. So he goes to this sanctuary. They shave his head. They cut all his hair off. He wasn't too big a fan of that. And so he said, and they asked him, they said, what is the reason you're here? He said, I'm here to be enlightened. I said, okay. He said, that he goes to see the head of this place and the head of this place. You know, he said, did you eat dinner? He said, yeah, I ate dinner. He said, well, clean your bowl. He said, yeah, I'll go do that. That ain't no big problem, but I'm here to be enlightened. He said, I know, clean your bowl. He was like, I don't get what you're talking about. He said, exactly. You want to be enlightened, focus on whatever's right in front of you. You know, how many of y'all never finish a task because your mind's already thinking about the next? It takes work to stay present enough to finish and see a task through. Still to this day, I can tell exactly where I'm at on a day-to-day basis by my ability to simply finish a fucking task. Because I don't know about y'all. I think I don't like meth because I don't need no fucking meth. I'm batshit crazy up here. No meth needed. I'll run around like a chick with my head cut off all fucking day. Put some meth in me, I calm down. I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna chill.
Yeah.
But y'all turn back with me. We're gonna turn back and go look at let's go look in page 50. Actually, hold on. We didn't even finish reading. I'm sorry. Go back. Spiritual experience. 567. See? Can't even, you know, I'm off track today. Can't even finish this damn page. Spiritual awakening. If you take your pen, you want to draw down the page to where it says educational variety because they happen slowly over a period of time. A spiritual awakening is anytime, anywhere, anyone sees the truth. How many of y'all have seen some truth that hurt like hell since you've been here? How many of y'all have seen some truth that gave you some relief? It comes in all different forms. But the problem with seeing the truth is you officially got to do responsibility. In order to continue to wake up spiritually, you got to continue to seek the truth. Because a lot of people will lie about recovery. They'll say it's possible to be complacent. It is not possible to be complacent when it comes to recovery. You're either growing, falling backwards. One of the two. The problem is, which one do you think is usually more comfortable? Falling backwards. It's way easier to fall asleep than it is to wake up. Physically waking up ain't too different from spiritually waking up. How many of y'all can't wait to jump out of bed each morning? You just got issues, bro. Me and you are far different. My eyes wake up, I say, fuck. My wife thinks it's the weirdest shit out there. The first word out of my mouth each day is fuck. And I have to, like, literally, you know, thank God for getting old. I think old is what the only thing that makes it easier to wake up in the morning because you got to piss really bad. So you're ready to go. But falling asleep is far more comfortable. The same thing goes for spirituality. Far easier to fall asleep than it is to wake up. And a lot of times other people will see you falling asleep and waking up way quicker than you will. How many of you have ever been in a bad spot while you were, quote unquote, in recovery? Somebody come to you and said, I'm worried about you. You said, I'm fucking worried about you if you don't mind your fucking business. Think about it. It's always the defensive ones. But it says, quite often, friends of the newcomer are aware of the difference long before he is himself. He finally realizes that he has undergone a profound alteration in his reaction to life, as such a change could hardly have been brought about by himself alone. What often takes place in a few months could seldom have been accomplished by years of self-discipline. I want you to pay attention to that. What often takes place in a few months. What is that telling you right there? 2 months. Spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening puts you in a position to begin to get relief from this obsession. Let's look at a timetable right here. Your first week here. Your first week here, you are considered detoxing. Your next 2 weeks, you are residential. You are really going hard and heavy on some counseling. Your 4th week, hopefully you've gotten what you need to take care of here. So your counselor got you moving on. She's getting you into the action steps. He's getting you into the action steps. Then for the next month out of here, you're actively working through the 12 steps, already having a good jump because of the fact your counselor got you ready for it in treatment. What often takes place in a few months, everything you're doing right now is this counseling that you hate so much is setting you up to dive into the steps. Not only that, what you're also getting a little piece of is a fellowship. Do you think this place would be an easy one to stay at if you weren't surrounded by people with similar or like-minded intentions? No. Think about it. You put somebody who really wants to be sober in a room full of people that really don't want to be sober, it's going to be miserable. You put somebody who really don't want to be sober in a room full of people who really do want to be sober, it's going to be miserable for them too. I'll say this. Everybody in here, whether you realize it or not, you are a battery. We are all a bunch of batteries. We feed off energy of the people around us. You better make sure those people you're spending your time and your energy with are people that have what you want, that are moving in the same direction you want to move in. I mean that. Anybody have any questions? Fucking rough Monday. Rusty. Got a whole extra day in. Ladies, y'all good? All right, have a nice day.
Thank you.